I'm so happy to be here this morning talking to Tom and Julie Ashworth, who are the original owners of Great Outdoor Store, began the whole epic saga. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the origins of GOS and share a little bit about how they got it started and where it is, how it's gotten from where they started to today. So good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
So, Tom, started GOS. Tell us a little bit about why and what.
A little known story is actually our son, Chris, is responsible for the origin of Great Outdoor Store.
In many ways, yeah.
Chris was born with significant disabilities, and at the time, there was no real diagnosis for autism. We really didn't know what we were working with at the time. We knew we had a child that had gross learning and physical disabilities. And my wife, Julie, was a committed career educator, and I knew she would be staying with that for the rest of her life. So I, on the other hand, was more open to change and entrepreneurial.
That's an understatement.
ventures.
Very understated.
I stayed home with, so I quit the pharmaceutical job, and
Because we knew one of us, I was teaching half-time special ed, but we needed to
Someone needed to be with
flexible.
Chris,
We needed
Yeah.
a flexible
Yeah.
career and setting.
so for a year and a half, I stayed home with the two babies, and tried to figure out a way that I could make a living, because we knew with Chris's disability, it would be a long road.
Sure.
So, I think I was at the time subscribed to Outdoor Magazine, and started thinking about what the town might need. This was prior to Shields, prior to Cabela's. There was a hole in the market for a high-end, non-hardware type outdoor store.
Were you an outdoorsman yourself? I mean, did you hunt and fish and hike and
I
bike
did.
and all that stuff?
I did. Never excellent, never really like a super athlete, but
Yeah.
always a participant.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that took me all over the United States. After we got into the business, with the various reps for the various companies, I usually found myself way over my head.
So how long would you say it was before you kind of had the seed of the idea, this might be a good idea, to opening the store?
I would say it approached, I would say the whole process probably took 2 to 3 years.
Sure.
Once we decided, of course, she wasn't completely convinced that this was a good idea, but she was open to it. She's been very supportive of most of the craziness, and anyway, she, I guess I had to go get product.
Yeah.
Another real interesting story was the origin of Patagonia into South Dakota, and I had been, I was at Outdoor Retailer, the market, one of the markets, and I think I had opened with Marmot and, Eagle Creek and Royal Robins,
Columbia had just started.
Caribou,
All the iconic brands.
Jansport.
Really. Jansport.
Columbia,
Yes.
North Face.
North Face.
But my whole objective to go to market was to open with Patagonia.
Yeah.
And so,
So did
Yeah.
you just walk into the booth, or how did you
well,
introduce yourself?
here we are out in the middle of South Dakota. Corn, green,
No water
soy
anywhere.
No water.
no water,
No mountains.
no
just
mountains.
hills. Yeah.
So
is
this
brilliant.
seemed perfectly logical.
Yeah.
Let's open a mountaineering store.
Don't know if the stairs still around.
I go up to Patagonia, and there's many people around the booth and a lot of activity, interest, and enthusiasm, excitement. And I go up and I waited my turn and I got up there and I said, I would like to open with Patagonia. And they kind of looked at me like, well, you and all of these other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it was a no. So I walk over to this table and I sit down and I have all my brochures and have my coffee and I'm just kind of going through them, and this guy next to me says, well, what are you doing here? Who are you and where are you from?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm Tom. I'm from South Dakota and I'm opening up outdoor specialty store, high-end quality equipment. And,
Yeah.
so the guy looked at me and he says, well, who are you what kind of a mix are you going to have in the store? And I said, well, I said, I had named off companies, and I said, but I was really here to try and open with Patagonia. And they turned me down. They weren't opening anybody in South Dakota, and
In the
it
plains.
wasn't really a high populated target market,
Yes.
for them. But I said I was denied, and I said I'm horribly disappointed, and that was my whole focus, to come to market. And he said, well, let me see what I can do about that. I said, well, what's your name? And he said, my name is Texas Bogier, and I am the national sales manager for Patagonia.
Texas Bogie.
Yeah.
What a name.
And I went,
You're like, for real?
really? He said, yeah, let me see if I can help you out with this.
Oh my gosh.
And so he walked me over, and he basically just said, open this guy.
Yeah. Let him
And
have
so that's how
Oh my gosh.
I secured it. So between Chris and Texas Bogier and numerous other people, I developed a fast friendship with Skip Yowell, who was one of the founders of Jansport. We traveled all over together, got in all kinds of trouble, and had a wonderful
Yeah.
friendships
Wonderful.
over the
That's
years.
awesome.
But so that's the origin of
Okay.
Patagonia in South Dakota.
I think one of the
Well, you and James have grown the business absolutely fantastically, and we were at ground zero, so we grew it up to a point. And another little story that no one would know except DeAnn and I was the day I got back from market the year prior to selling the business to James and DeAnn. And that was, and you may not even remember this, but
You're
we
wondering.
were walking down 11th Street, and she said, well, and I had just gotten back from market, and she said, well, what's new? What's exciting? And I said, to be honest with you, nothing really excited me. And I said, I'm thinking about maybe selling the store.
Do you remember that?
yeah.
She's
I do,
always
actually.
been tuned in and to that beat, and
Yes.
she had her own business, if not two by then.
No, just the card shop.
Okay.
Yep, just the card shop.
And she said, well, let me know. Well, it was in February, I believe, or March, and
You were all kind of prepared to transition at that time, so it seemed like a good time to.
right.
Yeah.
I had wasn't really boredom. I just, I think at that point it was 16 years or 17 years, and that's a pretty long run for me. I am more of a 5-6 year.
He's a starter, and then
Yeah.
Sustaining is not my strength.
Yeah.
Originating is more my style.
Yeah. What a card. And I remember when Tom was ready, when you told me you were ready to sell, James and I talked about it, and I said, now I'm going to have to go to the bank and say, so what do you think if I want to buy a Great Outdoor Store? And I was really nervous about that, I remember, because I thought he was just going to say, well, hell no.
Yeah.
You
Right.
just bought this one.
Yeah.
We just financed you on this one.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't. He said, put a business plan together, put put a plan together. So I scrambled and put one together. It was relatively easy because I'd been thinking about it for so long.
Home Federal, I believe.
It was Home Federal, exactly.
Did you keep both businesses open for a while?
Yeah,
I remember that
for 2
too.
years.
For 3 years.
And
yeah.
so I did the business plan, and SBA helped me a ton, and we got the deal done, and
Yeah, fantastic.
yeah, it worked out. It worked
I
out
think the
great.
store
It
had a
did.
really good reputation too. I mean,
Oh,
it wasn't like, oh, this.
totally.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. It was a
Yeah.
really well-known entity and well.
Yeah,
so,
my
And we still have customers today that have been, you know, we were
From the beginning.
talking about the Kirby family. They're still customers today. They still come in, and the people that it's almost like a tradition at Christmas time. Oh, we have to have Great Outdoor Store gifts under the tree,
yeah.
and
We
they
always
know
called
the
it
wrap,
GOS
and
Christmas.
you know, yeah,
Yep, the wrap.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, we still have that, and I know that that's because that's been established from so long ago and
Right.
when you guys started.
Right.
So.
Well, everything is successful in life if you create relationships. I mean,
Absolutely.
teaching is relational, but you know, GOS is much more relational than most stores
Absolutely.
in Sioux Falls.
Well, one other thing that I should mention is the amount of tremendous personalities both you and James and I and Julie developed in the culture of our employees.
Yes,
Um,
for sure.
What a wonderful mix of personalities and skill sets over the years.
And friendships,
Oh
right?
my gosh,
So
yeah.
That still remain.
everyone always got along and had fun together and socialized
Yes.
together and had like interests. So yeah, we've been so fortunate.
We've had experts, and we've had people that knew absolutely nothing.
Right,
But
right.
we're so personable
And passionate.
and so
Yeah.
wonderful
Engaging,
that
yeah.
we just, you're hired.
Yeah,
Engaging,
You know,
yeah.
and I've seen you duplicate that.
yeah, exactly.
And
Definitely.
I walk in to this day, and you know, I see a piece of memorabilia. I think back to it.
We were talking about the bookshelves. We were
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where did those come from?
Yeah.
And I have no idea.
Well,
Somewhere.
Tom has collected memorabilia all his life.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, you know, historical things, native things, outdoor things, always even before the store. So
Yeah.
that interest of the environment and the culture of our state and the environment and the history of our state has always been one of his passions and interests too.
Yeah.
To confirm and
we've
affirm that,
explored it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, quite the story
Yeah.
that
it
you
is.
have successfully continued to write,
Oh, thank
no
you.
doubt.
Thank you. And hopefully for years to come after I'm gone.
Indeed.
After-
So I want to thank you, DeAnn.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I get teary
You're the beginning.
Yeah.
thinking about the history and the legacy.
Yeah.
And you and James have done a tremendous job. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without you and learning
you.
from you.
Thank you.
And appreciate you two both so
Still
much.
our
As
most
good
favorite wine,
friends.
Patagonia.
Yeah.
always call
I
it-
know we're all representing.